guys, this is Lovely, and welcome to the Healing Through Conversations podcast. Today we have the honor of speaking with Miss Danitza Borges. She is the founder of a new Fem-tech startup called Elys. Elys is the business of humanities, legacies. They offer the ability to leave heartfelt messages to the people we leave behind. They also have a hot button app for those what-if situations.
Welcome to Lovely Esteem. I'm Lovely, the auntie you always wanted, the sister girlfriend you didn't know you needed, honey. You got to have self-love to have self-esteem. And here we know that God don't make no junk. So we're going to sit down, talk about it, and see how we can fix it, baby. Let's do it.
So what are we talking about today? We're going to be talking about Fem-tech startups. We're going to be talking about celebrating life, loss, grief, hope, love, success. We're going to be talking about connection. I feel like this conversation is really going to connect us in a way that we never really thought about. In our cultures, grieving isn't always seen as a positive emotion. It is usually attached to very negative outcomes. And I believe that the more we learn to grieve in healthier ways, the better we'll be able to connect with others, the better we'll be at talking to people and understanding that we all relate in similar and very different ways. And it's still okay. So I hope that this conversation touches your heart the way I believe it's going to touch mine. Let's begin the conversation. Hey guys, this is Lovely with Healing Through Conversations, and today I am so excited. We were talking off screen. Danitza. Oh, now she's gonna make me say it as if I'm Italian because now that's all I can hear. However, we met through Entreprenista, which is a beautiful, safe space for women who are growing their businesses, who want to connect with other women who want to see each other empowered and growing. And I think that when you can get into a space like that and you can feel the type of emotion and the type of push that we feel behind us, it's just so, I always say it's entrepreneur because you never know that you needed these kind of sisters in your life, these kind of cousins in your life. And for me, it's just such an honor to have women who are thinking outside of the box and who are moving forward. So please introduce us to you and your company.
Hi, thank you, Lovely, for having me on your show. I am extremely honored and very blessed to be part of your connection as well as Entreprenista and the Entreprenista League and all the wonderful, genuine women and connections that I have personally made as well. I'm Danitza Borges, and I am the founder and CEO of Elys Legacy Management. And we are a new Fem-tech company that is trying to take the world by storm. We're one of the first of its kind in regards to a certain app that we are building. We are a legacy platform. We believe how we leave people behind matter. We believe in human connections. We believe in the love of humanity, and the messages that humanity leaves behind are sacred to my business.
I love it. I actually thought to myself when you really graciously accepted to be on the podcast and we reached out, that when we talk about loss, when we talk about grief, we're really still talking about celebrating life. And what you guys, to me, it feels like you're doing, you're creating this bridge between not the unknown, but whenever you lose someone, it feels like you wish you could have one last phone call. You wish you could have one last conversation. You wish that you would have said ... And sometimes it feels like you're talking into the ether and nobody's going to respond back. So I think that's what moved me the most was you're giving people a chance to create this beautiful bridge where I may be gone in body, but in spirit, I'm still here. And I think for me, that was just a wonderful way to embrace a family when they're going through something like that.
Thank you. That's exactly what we're trying to capture. You know, when you subscribe to Elys, you are able to have all these different people, from husband, wife, sisters, cousins, friends, colleagues, and you have all these people that you enter into your list of attachments, and and then you go ahead and you schedule certain dates. Say it's a special anniversary or a special birthday. Imagine a loved one receiving your Merry Christmas message, or imagine a recipe that's been handed down from generation to generation that would be lost had it not been for somebody to actually go through the recipe with you. When we lose someone in life, as we get older, our circle of love gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And when we lose someone, we should never be the same. It's kind of like a major breakup, except now that person is no longer on earth. We're never the exact same person. So when we lose love, it's very impactful, and people grieve in very, very different ways. But grief will always be there. It will wait for you. Yeah. You can try to stuff it down, but it will wait for you until one day it just hits you. So imagine you get this message, this beautiful message, say from a spouse or a parent, and you hear the ping on your phone, and there they are, and they're telling you, hey, I know you're having a bad day, but you are still this amazing, wonderful person. I can't even imagine the impact, the joy, the emotions behind it. And then you get to download that message and keep it forever. And our goal is that you pass on that message. So people, humor, intellect, their persona, their characteristic continues to live on in legacies. That's important to Elys.
And that's important to me. I think that, because so many of us, we have these conversations about our ancestors. We have these conversations about our elders. We talk about grandma such and such. And it's like sometimes the memory gets diluted, or that kids game where you whisper in the ear and you tell the story, and by the time you get to the end, it's not the same story anymore. So being able to have a space where you can not only receive those messages, but it allows you a moment of pause where you get to cry, or you get to laugh, or you get to, even be angry, because sometimes grief just makes you so angry because you don't know where to put that love anymore. It's not a physical place to put that love. Now, will the messages come in text message form, or is it in video form?
You're able to leave photographs, videos, documents, wills, anything of your liking. I try to really push for our clients to leave music, because what ends up happening is when you will lose your music on Spotify or Pandora or Amazon Music, you'll lose it because you can't get in because of the password. So you just download that music, and then your family members can have that playlist that belonged to you, that was special to you, so it doesn't get lost. Everything kind of gets lost in transition after death. It's very unfortunate, passwords and photos. So no, you'll get an email to submit a death certificate. You'll have a designated person that you choose, and we're always you can update your designated person, and then we do a death certificate verification, and then we start sending out all of your documents, videos, photos, music, anything of your liking per your instructions. The recipient receives them. It's via text message. You'll get a brief little welcome that our condolences for your loss, but we have something very special that was left for you. Please feel free to download it, and you can go ahead and download it, and you'll be able to keep it forever until you decide to pass it on.
There are some things that touch me. And again, we spoke off camera. Grief is one of those feelings and emotions that I've learned to embrace in the most positive way, because I think that part of what makes us so angry and part of the trauma that we hold on to is the fact that we aren't really allowed to grieve different losses, or that we have this number attached to loss. So we have this my loss is bigger than your loss because it was this, and this, or, so I'm like, I choose, say for instance, you really thought you were going to be able to wear that dress, and you try that dress on, and maybe your body isn't feeling the way, it doesn't look like the way you feel that dress. A little bit of moment just to be like, okay, I didn't like that, but what can I do to improve that? What can I do to improve how I feel? Because loss in different forms, it just helps you grow. It's lessons, right? And these lessons that you'll learn from your ancestors, you'll learn from your elders. Imagine being able to see your mom's face again, because sometimes even the pictures fade. The pictures, they become a little more translucent, or maybe somebody, if you were in a fire, those type of things that we don't always think about, because you make the assumption that all good is going to happen. And something like this, a platform like this, would give so many people a chance to say goodbye on multiple occasions until it hurts less.
Right, exactly. It's part of the healing. We want it to hurt less. We want it to hurt less. If we really instill with our clients, leave a voice message. They want to hear your voice. They want to hear that one last "I love you," or that last inside joke. Like my son and I, we have this inside joke. And when I did my messages, which can always be evolving, I do the beginning of the joke, and he knows how to end it. And so it's something that's between him and I. And everybody has that little quirk, either it's with a friend or with your spouse or your family member, or your best girlfriend. You have those little inside jokes, and they're still going to need that from you. Whoever's left behind, they're still going to ache for that, because when they lose you, they lose love, they lose the jokes, they lose the humor, they lose that feeling of acceptance. And we all want to feel accepted. And we all want to feel that love and that nurture and surround ourselves. We have enough negativity in this world that we're going to need. We still rely on our people. And my goal with Elys is not just to rely on memories, but to rely on substance. Like, it's right there. They're saying, "I love you." They're coming through. They took the time to believe that you were so important that they left you a message. Oh my God, I can't even believe what that would feel like.
I haven't even left a message yet, and I just know that for me, it would validate my day. There's sometimes when you go through, you have like the worst day. One of my uncle was like my father, so he was one of the people, and it does not, a week doesn't go by. It's been 10, maybe 11 years where we don't reference something that he said, he did, some impact that he's had on my life. And just, it would be wonderful just to hear the voice, or to be told. Our inside joke used to be, "I know, baby, it's my fault. If I would have married a rich man, everything would be great." And I think that, and I think that for me, I'm like, I remember growing up, I would be 8 years old, and I'm like, but I don't understand. "I know, baby, it's my fault. If I would have married a rich man, you would be able to wear those shoes." And those type of things that like bring such joy to your life, because I'm like, my uncle was a huge part of like the LGBTQ movement here in Baltimore, and he didn't live long enough to see marriages. He didn't live long enough. So in this day and time, he would have lost his mind. Like, he wouldn't know what to do with himself. I think TikTok would have sent him over the edge. Really, TikTok would have. But so like being able to have those kind of memories, it just, when you have that bad day and you're like, I want to play that one message. Okay, I can do it. I can get through this day. So can you, I think, and we've touched on it, the role of storytelling, the role that storytelling plays in the legacy of a family. Can you kind of expand on that?
Sure. Thank you for asking. You're right with the stories get lost in translation. And so when you can go back to where the story came from, and you can say, "Oh my gosh, no, the story wasn't that way." And you have siblings saying, "Oh no, she said it like this," or "She said it like that," or "That story is wrong. It was this way." And you can actually go back to the source and listen to the story and go, "Oh my gosh, I was so wrong. I was so different." The story is actually from the main source.
Yes.
From the actual source. And I think that that's important, because we don't understand, or we don't realize how important that actual source is. Because in translation, by the time you get 3 or 4 generations down, that story is either 1, eliminated, or 2, has a completely different meaning, completely different meaning, or it's so far from the story that it's unrecognizable.
Yes.
And so nobody tells it anymore.
Yes.
And the story gets lost. I mean, I can't even, I always think back, what would have Einstein have left for us if he could have left a message? What would have Steve Jobs left for us if he could have left a message? What could, anybody, when we die, we leave so much on the table, our knowledge, our wisdom, intellectual stimulations. We lose so much when we lose a person. So it's so important that we carry on. So many times, I truly believe this, society repeats and repeats and repeats because we don't have any point of reference, because we didn't keep the story.
Yes.
Had we have kept the story or the knowledge or the invention, we'd be so farther along. There's a reason why Elon Musk went back to Tesla. Okay, there's a reason for that.
Yes.
Okay, there's a reason. Because he took his ingenuity, he took his inventions, and he tweaked them and became, Tesla. But can you imagine if Mr. Tesla would have left his messages? We would have been so much farther advanced. We don't think we have all this knowledge, but we do. We radiate it. As human beings, we are the most smartest. We think, we feel, we have so much left to give. And our messages are what we are so impactful that those should be the last things that we leave behind.
I love that.
I have to tell you, when you were telling me about your uncle, so my son, as I told you, we have this inside joke. And when my son was little, he would say, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, you have issues. You have issues, mommy." And one day I turned to this kid and I said, "Draco, you don't know what issues are until you marry one of us." And I walked away. And so that's our inside joke. So it's just, right? It's like, it was mind blowing. And of course it stopped him in his tracks. He was like, oh, okay.
So, I didn't want to get married. I don't know. Okay, and the older he gets, the more the joke evolves, right? And the more he understands, like, oh, what you were saying, Mom? Like, you were serious.
So when he started to date, and he's like, "Mom, this girl, I would just do, issues."
Straight face. You thought it was just me.
I was special.
I love it, and I agree with you. We are the original AI. We are the original gatekeepers of stories, of emotions, of the laughter. We get so stuck in loss and what we didn't accomplish that we forget. I tell people all the time, if you can hear a baby laughing and it doesn't warm you, like, I don't know who you are. And I'm not saying that you need to have a baby. I'm just saying that deep gut laugh, the laugh that makes you snort, that joke, you know what I mean? Like that joke that no matter how proper you are, no matter how sophisticated that you are, you're like, you're going to lose it. And you're just like, you and that person. And to be able to, but to be able to hear that joke again in the midst of your grief, in the midst of your disparity, it would mean so much more. It'll change the meaning of the joke. It becomes now this intimate, like, spiritual conversation that you're having with that person, because I can't talk to you, but I can think about you and I can feel you and I can embrace the spirit of you through those notes. And you mentioned that you can leave your will on here. And I, as a person with legal background, I said, we must talk about this because this is amazing.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you have a lot of discontent within families when in regards to will, or when wills were changed or updated. And imagine going on and leaving a video and saying, "No, I'm of sound mind. This is the will. This is the last version of the will. Such and such gets this, or this," and leave it at that. And yes, this is what I wanted. So there's no arguing of what he or she really wanted. it's right there on video, and it was sent to everyone. So it kind of, it actually can lessen the arguing and the anger and the discontent between family members. So yes, I've had a few planning attorneys.
Because I was going to ask about the estates and trusts, and can you add that into your estates and trusts as a part of that? Because to me, that's what I always tell people. There are different kind of generational wealth. Like there's the financial side, which is wonderful, but then there's the intellectual side. Things that you there's no value you can add to that, and being able to say, a sound body and mind, betrothed, blah blah blah. The doubt is who's doubting me? Because now you can really tell people how you feel. I can't even imagine. Some of those wills are probably crazy. You're like, when did grandma start cursing? We didn't know grandma could curse.
So it's so true, though. It's so true. You know, you can leave any type of message, any type. You know, we've had some messages that have been shared with me of, you know, regrets. You know, I regret speaking to you this way, or I regret not saying I love you enough. And you know, each person has their own specific message. And what's really nice is that you can schedule them anytime for birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, special dates that remind you of a certain person. And you're in control. You're in control of who gets the messages and when they get them. It's perfect.
It really is. I just, like, my heart, it feels warm. There are certain things that I'm kind of analytical with a lot of things, very logical. It just is what it is. But things that touch my heart have always been family. And it's always, and I don't mean blood always. Sometimes it's your best friend, because, you know, when we talk about loss and death in a family, you sometimes forget that you leave your best friend behind. You leave, you know, that sister circle that you had, or, you know, your college, your childhood best friend, the people who sometimes get lost because they don't know how to participate in the family circle anymore. Like, you were the connection for everything. And when the death happens, they're grieving in their own way, and they don't want to be a burden to the family, or maybe they don't grieve at all at the beginning. You know, it took me a year to grieve. Like, I'm kind of a slow, everything has to be in its place. And then my tears fall, like, you know, every 3 to 4 months. I would be like, oh, that's a lot. Okay. But I think that the next person who is laying on the floor grieving has the right. You have the right to grieve that way. But being able to receive those messages and being able to, like you said, download them and then have that moment by yourself that you really need. It's so special. It's like, it's perfect. It really is.
And you can constantly revisit. Because, I mean, we've all had those times where we're second guessing ourselves, or we're vulnerable, or, you know, things aren't going very well, and maybe you're stressed or frustrated or some anxiety, and you can flip on this video of your best friend or someone close to you pumping you up, saying, okay, we're enough, enough. And have you done this for the last 10 minutes? We're done. I'm going to give you 12. Let's go.
That's okay.
Because I have a friend. I have a friend like that. She's like, okay, you're going to get all like upset and fuddy-duddy. You got 10 more minutes. Let's get it out and let's move on. And I love that about her. And I would, you know, she's one of our clients, but I would cherish that message.
Yes, absolutely.
Just because there are people in our lives who need to tell us these things. And there are people in our lives who need to be, you know, who play a significant role, whether it's the soft person, whether it's the, you know, get off your butt and get it done person. They all play a major role in who we love and who we want to maintain in our lives.
I'm in awe of you. And I mean that in the most intimate way, because I think that in order to create a platform like this, and in order to create an app like this, you have had to have gone through some things in your life. You've had to miss some people and experience some things that made you think to yourself, my goodness, I wish I could talk to such and such. Or I know that we had a recipe in here, and you know, that frustration of standing in the kitchen and tasting it and like, it's something missing, and I don't know where the book is with the paper. Or when I moved out of the college dorm, I lost my journal and then I can't go back to get that phone number. But having that space where you said, I know how I feel in my loss, in my grief, in my regret, and even in my celebration, because sometimes you want to hit a message and they go, congratulations, I'm so proud of you. Right?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
so, you know, like that's what, like, let's talk about that. Just what did you roll over in bed one night and was like, I got it? Or was it a progression of different experiences that you went through, different conversations you had with people that made you say, this app is so needed?
It was a combination of two different things. I'm ex-law enforcement, and I was in a situation where my life could have been lost. And I was a single mom, and I have a son at home, and it's no family. It's just my son and I. I've already lost my parents, and I thought, oh my God, if something would have happened to me, Draco would have had no messages from me. I would have been gone, and he would have probably been put in foster care because this was it.
Yeah.
And you know, we all know about foster care and the difficulties with that system. And so I thought, oh my gosh, and it started to resonate. Then let's fast forward a couple of years. My son goes off to college, and I said, you know, you can never say I love you too many times. There's not a cap. Okay, you should always say it as much as you can and as sincere as you can. And so he was leaving, and I said to myself, if something was to happen to me at this very moment, car accident, you know, head-on collision, a tragedy of some sort, did I say the last I love you to my son? Did I say everything I needed to say? And the answer was no. So I actually looked for a platform that could do this. And when I realized it didn't exist, I decided to build it. And it's taken me 5 years, 5 long, bootstrapped years, you know, just me, myself, and I. There is no venture capitalist. There is no, you know, angel investor. It was me. I'm my own angel investor.
You are an angel, yes.
And so next thing I know, it took me a while, and I knew nothing about tech. And I started to learn, and I started to hire the right people to build this for me. And, you know, it was up and down for a while because tech is always evolving. New updates are always occurring, and you have to budget for those new updates. And you have to take into consideration that my work ethic is not the same as everybody else's work ethic in regards to tech. And then working in a field that's majority male, sometimes you're not taken very seriously. And so, you know, I had to maneuver around other people's thought process and judgments and still build it anyway. And that's what I did.
And build it anyway. And that's our quote. That's our quote. And build it anyway. And I love that because I think when I initially, years ago, I want to say, well, I always tell people, I'm like, 1994 was like my big tech year, because that was coming out of high school and the internet had really just started. And the only way that you could participate was if you learned how to build websites and you learned how to create your own pages so that you could build your communities. And I love women in tech because not only do we bring a bit more sensibility to it, we bring humanity to it. Because sometimes I think that, you know, everybody's just built different, and not every woman is going to be soft, and not every man is hard. We're not even talking about, it's not all people. We're just talking about some people in general. But we do bring up that humanity to it, where we think about the fullness of life. It's more in the details, right? Because you could have created a platform where you just left messages, like, just leave a message, no real you know, no real details, no intent behind it, no emotion and just feeling behind it. And I think that what you're doing is creating a space where generations will be able to really connect to each other. Because
that is our goal.
Absolutely, I can tell. And I was having this conversation, not particularly political, but when people always say, like, you know, where do you come from? And I say, oh, you know, I live in Maryland. Like, oh no, but like, your people. And I'm like, okay, I'm a Black woman, and technically I don't know how, I don't have very far back to go. I have like a grandmother and a great grandmother, and then it kind of stops. You know, and people are like, well, are you from the Caribbean? Are you from Africa? I'm like, I cannot give you that information right at the moment, because 23andMe has not provided it to me, and I'm not 100% sure that it's going to work out for me the way I need it to. But that, what you're doing is giving generations a chance to connect. Okay, I come from this place in Maryland, and my great grandmother was from this particular place, and then now I have a bridge to work with, because in some like, you know, African Americans in the United States don't always have a bridge back. We don't always have the legacy that we talk about. But this gives you a chance to build that legacy within your community, within your culture, within your household, so that your children have a chance to tell their children and their children and their children all these wonderful things. Or sometimes, like, no, this, even health-wise, diabetes runs in our family. Grandma sat down and talked to us about high blood pressure, or cancer runs in our family. Those questions that I think even foster children ask, adopted kids ask, you know, like, I always just think about the ethics of that. But imagine when you're 21 or 18 and you have been in foster care, and you receive a message that says, I'm so sorry for what I had to do or for leaving you, but here's this information. I probably would pass out outside in front of people. Like, is this my mom? Like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
And imagine the healing, though. Now you went from this like empty abyss to all of a sudden you have some knowledge. There's a bouncing point, and that's just, Elys is so much of that, from the healing to the knowledge to the closure to the moving on to the laughter. We want to encompass all these emotions. That's what we want. That is so important, because as humanity, that's what moves us forward. It propels us. You know, we are surrounded with, you know, the world and all the negativity that the world can sometimes bring into our lives, or into the lives of people we are the closest to. But to have these little smidgets of happiness, little smidgets of messages, little smidgets of humanity, legacy, messages, love, how endearing. That moves us. It propels us. It makes us better versions of humanity.
I love you. I love it. I just love it so much. You know, because it plays into the reason why I started this podcast, healing through conversation. And sometimes we don't get to have the conversation because the conversation is cut short, the life may be cut short, the relationship may be cut short. And being able to connect with and have resources provided to you in a very feasible way. Like, you're not saying you're going to have to go into this capsule, dig all the way under the ground, pull up such and such, dust it off. You know, you're giving people real-time solutions to communication and connection. And I think that for me, that is just, it's almost something that you can't really explain. We can explain it, but you can't explain the emotions that people will feel from that. And like you said, that the amount of healing, the amount of therapy that those conversations will be able to give you is just, it's unexplainable sometimes.
That you know, you mentioned about unexpected death. That's why, Elys, when I was building a list, I kept going back to my law enforcement experience. And you know, when you're surrounded by sometimes the most traumatic events that happen to what humans can do to other human beings. It's mind blowing. And I kept thinking of, I keep seeing women's lives being cut short because, whether sexual assaults or human sexual trafficking or domestic violence, when you lose a woman, and not to say that losing a male is anything less, but when you lose a woman, we are the gender that is more nurturing. And so we lose a major mother, sister, daughter, friend. We lose such an impactful nurturer for our society. So, when I was building this, I thought, okay, I need to come up with something for the right now, what if moments. And so I added the Elys hot button that you could download the app to your phone, pick a emergency or designated person, and say, for instance, you're having an earthquake. You're attending a music festival in Israel and things go very wrong. You're going to a rally, with the political unrest right now. You're at the wrong place at the wrong time. Happens a lot. You have a partner that has anger issues. You can hit something goes completely wrong. You just hit the hot button. You can leave a 1-minute message. You're catching a flight. Just let's take it from very bare minimum. You're catching a flight. Unfortunately, we don't know if that flight's going to land. You just never know. You hit that hot button, you leave a 1-minute message. Maybe it's an I love you. Maybe it's whatever you want. And it gets automatically stored up in the cloud. So if something happens to the phone, you don't have to worry. It's already up in the cloud. So you leave that message. If nothing happens, no harm, no foul, you have 72 hours with constant reminders to delete the message. But if that was your last message, your people are going to want to hear from you because you don't want to leave them with the trauma of what happened. You want to leave them in a place of love. And so that message is sent out at the 72-hour mark to your designated person.
Absolutely. So many questions, but I want to really talk about. So where would people go? Can you talk about your website, how they would sign up?
It's a subscription based. We try to make it as reasonable as possible. It is a subscription. Again, you go on to www.elys.cloud. You sign up. You make an account. You pick your designated person. You can do the legacy management platform, which includes the hot button, or you can just subscribe to the hot button. Our prices are reasonable. For the Elys legacy management, including the hot button, it's $4.99 a month. If it's just the hot button, it's $1.99 a month. My goal is to have every single, I'm very, very pro female. I'm very, very pro my gender for so many different reasons. So my goal is to have 100,000 women signed up by this time next year.
And we're going to do it.
I just want, yes, I know. I just want them to have this on the phone in case of anything. You go out for, I'll give you examples. I go out for a job. I hit that hot button because I know that there's people waiting for me. I'm telling them my location and I love you. If something went wrong, this is what you need to know about what to do if something went wrong. That's it. Nothing happens. Guess what? I'll just delete it and be ready for the next one.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as women, we are usually the gender with the biggest target. We are the target, unfortunately. So it's best to have it at the ready because you just don't know. You don't know when these things can happen. In a split second, concerts, music festivals, going out to dinner. You could be at a restaurant and you could be at a school with an active shooter.
Yeah.
I mean, the X factor is always there. So why not be prepared? Hit the button, leave a message. And I hope you don't need it.
So, great question. Is there an age requirement? And is this something that, like even the hot button, that can be used for children and teens who are like going out with their friends and they want to let their parents know where they are, what's going on, if they go to a concert, things like that.
Our age limit is 12.
Okay.
It is 12. I'll give you an example. It's funny you mentioned that. I got a letter from one of our clients, and the client is actually a 14-year-old girl. And she wrote to me, and I thought it was so sweet. And she says, "Please don't be angry at me, but I use your hot button." I'm like, "Why would I be angry?" Well, the story continued. She's like, "My mom signed me up for the hot button, my sister and I, because she works as a nurse and she's gone at night. And so in case anything is to happen, we have this hot button to relay a message." She says, "Well, one night I decided to sneak out." I was like, "Oh my God, oh my God." But
she's writing the letter, so we know she's here.
But she's writing, she's here. But teenagers think they're invincible.
Yeah.
And they do risky behaviors.
Yeah.
We've all kind of been a teenager at one point or another.
It's a tragic place to be sometimes.
Right? It's tragic. That was lovely put. So she said she went out and she snuck out and she left a message. And she said, "This is who I'm with, this is where I'm going, and this is the time I should be back. If you wake up tomorrow morning and I am not here, something went really wrong." And I was like, "Oh wow, that's
a little mature. That's a little
yeah, she gets it."
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. She said she snuck back in and she deleted the message. But she said, it's really interesting was that when I went out with my friends and I walked back home in the dark, I realized how scary it could be. And I'm not going to call my mom and say, "Oh, Mom, I snuck out." I rushed home. But anything could have happened in those 2 blocks of me walking back home. And she said, "So I just wanted to say thank you for inventing this." And I was like, like it just like warmed me. It warmed me. And then I emailed her back and said, "Please don't sneak out anymore. Please don't do that. You're scaring me, but please, I understand. Thank you." Thank you. But so teenagers, you see there's violence in the high schools, there's violence in the middle schools. Kids are expressing their anger or the frustration very differently than I know when I was growing up. So it's important that you leave these messages. If you are a minor, like I want all moms to sign up their kids, whether it's female or male, because things happen at the school. If your minor comes up missing, you are to call Elys immediately, because you are the owner of the account, and we will release and get in contact with the local police station as quickly as possible, and we will release that video.
I love that. And I think what made me think about that was what you were saying. When you're a teenager and you're full of all of these hormones and you're hot-headed or too fast in the pants, as the old folks used to say, all of these different things, and you don't always make decisions from a rational space. Even as we get older, this perimenopause is sending me through some irrational situations all by itself. But I just think that having that knowledge, even as a teen, it would make me feel a little bit better. Just learning how to step out, especially if you are from not sheltered, but your parents try to really take care of you, and you start to go to the mall by yourself with your friends, or maybe you don't feel as comfortable, but you really don't want to send that SOS text because you're not 100% like it's your first time hanging out with the group, or just different things that happen in your life. And being able to, as a teen, have some responsibility kind of walks you into deciphering and making adult choices for yourself. Because that young lady at 14 knew, I'm not doing the right thing. But if something should happen, I don't want my mother just to not have anything. So that to me is, I'm just saying, I really think you can get 100,000, not just women, but like, I feel like
everyone.
But I feel like this is a great movement for young women. It's so empowered, because like right now, one of my really sweet friends, her niece is going through cancer. And she found out at 17 that she's in stage 3. Okay, so she's going through chemo and all the things that at 17, your life is just, you're about to go to college. Things are about to be like, it's the best time of your life, or that's what we tell ourselves until we're like, no, 25 is the best time. No, 40 is the best time, you know. But for you, even at 17, to be going through all of that angst, that emotion, and you're looking at death. You're looking, because now you're talking to it. Like, this isn't a sidestep,
Right.
you know. And
It's very close.
very close. And no matter how positive you are, just giving yourself permission to grieve and have a space to leave messages for the people that you love. And, you know, sometimes I know cultural, when you talk about death, people say you shouldn't talk about it or it freaks them out. But giving people the safe spaces to express themselves on a personal level, because you can't tell me, Lisa, no, you can't leave these messages. Like, when I send them out, like, if anything happens to me and I send them out, that's my love to you. That's my language to you. That's my love to you. You know, so
that's your gift. That's a gift to them.
And you gave us a gift, because I promise you, I really feel so strongly, like I got goosebumps, because I really feel like what you're doing, not trying to do, not trying to accomplish, what you're going to accomplish is going to far exceed your dreams. It's just going to take off, and you're going to have to sit down and be like, okay, all right, so head between the knees, let's breathe it out, because so many great things are happening. Because I want, one, thank you so much for your service, even in the legal manner, because I know that you've seen some things that allow you to really dig deep and create a platform that is so inclusive, and it feels very much like a warm hug. And at first it probably won't. When people get messages, they'll be like, why did you send, why am I getting this message? But eventually, when they play it back, they'll understand that this was done out of love. This was done out of a need for deep connection when the person isn't there.
Yeah. We have, I don't know if you remember, but 9/11.
Yes.
It's celebrating the 23rd anniversary. My goal is to get as many people signed up for the hot button. Out of those 3,000 people that died that day, only 2 messages got out. 2. That was it. And those messages are constantly replayed at the memorial, of course, because there was a lot of love going to these family members and telling them to move on, and they knew what was going to happen. And I think, honestly, this is just my own personal, but I think we're always walking with death. Yeah. It's like a silent companion.
Absolutely.
We are this 1 in 400 trillion miracle to be born. And as soon as we are that miracle, we have the capacity to die. That's humanity. That's life. That is the circle of life. And I think, I know my companion is always there with me. I just, hope that he or she understands I just want a little bit more time. Just a little bit more. Yes. Not a lot, just a little bit more. Because there are, people that die at a very young age. There's people that die at a very older age. I'm hoping I'm somewhere on the older spectrum. But that I have no guarantees. There are no guarantees in this life. Look at that 17-year-old. Nobody would have thought when she was 10 that she'd be going through this at 17. We played the cards to the best of our ability. Yeah. And so my goal is, we're dealt as many cards as we can, and we play them as well as we can, but we have to factor in, if those cards aren't played well, that we leave these messages behind.
Right. One, I'm definitely signing up for myself. And
thank you.
And I'm definitely signing up for myself. And I'm absolutely going to talk to my husband, because I think that both he and I are from families where our fathers passed away when we were very young. So there's no storytelling on that side. And right now we both have our moms, but our moms are getting older as well. So being able to gift our children and our grandchildren those hugs and those conversations and even the stories. Like sometimes you just want to tell a story, no matter how crazy it is, and leave it for someone. And you might leave it on a voicemail, but what happens when the phone dies? What happens, if the service is disconnected? What happens if you change your phone number? It's not always guaranteed to be there, but having this platform that gives you just a really warm hug, or like you said, it shakes you, it grabs you by the shoulders and say, get your shit together. I love you so much. I love you so much, but you've been crying for a little bit too long now. And you know, if I was here, I would have told you to get yourself together. You get up off the floor. We could do this together. I'm still with you. I'm just not here in physical form. And I love that so much. And I appreciate how much thought you've put into this. I appreciate how much.
Thank you. That warms me.
And I appreciate how much you've seen of this world and you still want to bring joy into it. Because yes. I'm sure you've seen some things in your life where you're like, ooh, okay, well, I'm just going to go home and bury myself and talk to my son and not go back outside. And I think that for you to do something like this, to encompass so much love and heart, that it's just like hugs to you, just so warm. I love it. I thank you so much for this.
Thank you. No, thank you. It's my gift to humanity. That I wanted to do something with my life that was very impactful to humanity. And this, I truly believe this idea and this thought is so much bigger than me. Like it came from somewhere else. Whether you're very spiritual or not spiritual, this is bigger than me. I'm just the vessel to get it out to everyone. And I'm very blessed to be the chosen one that I can spread this. And I'm hoping that everybody utilizes it. You mentioned stories, and we are just in the process of doing this amazing ad. And so I kind of want to put you there. Imagine, a little girl, and she's with her grandmother, and she's making a cake. They're just making a cake. And there's a story with that cake. And you see all of it, that's in black and white. And then all of a sudden you see in color, the mother now has grown and she's making a cake with her daughter. And she's like, I'm going to tell you a story. And you think she's going to tell the story, but all of a sudden you see the laptop pop up and she hits play and the grandmother starts to tell the story to the granddaughter. So you don't lose the original story. And she's just kept it on and kept it on. And it's so beautiful and it's so soothing because one, that story was so impactful to the original granddaughter. And that she wanted it in its truest, purest form when she shared it with her own daughter. And that to me is special. From the twang in her voice to her gestures and her wrinkles when she smiles, those gestures, those characteristics move mountains. They they will heal you faster than any therapist can. I am truly a believer of that.
Absolutely. That for me, that would have been amazing, even just to make the cake along with your mother and your grandmother, to kind of like what you're doing is bringing it full circle. They always say that when the woman's pregnant, the baby is pregnant with the next generation, like your grandmother, your mother, and then you, kind of, and to be able to have that in real time, even on the other end, is still the same emotion.
I'm going to tell you this story then, Miss Lovely. I have to tell you this story because I know you're going to laugh with this story. So I grew up being raised by my grandmother. So there's a lot of grandmother reference. She was the matriarch and one of the most strongest women I've ever met. If I'm even 10% of her, I have achieved so much in my life. But she would put me on the table and we would make a cake. And that was our big deal. I come from a very poverty-stricken family. And that was our big deal, make a cake once a month. And I'd be sitting there and she would always say, Danitza, you're the cake. You're the cake. And one day I said, Nana, why do you keep telling me I'm the cake? I don't understand. She's like, well, she goes, my love, you have all the good ingredients. You've got the flour, you've got the sugar, you've got the cinnamon, I'm like, you got all the good ingredients. And we stir you all up and we put you in the oven. And my love, you will always rise. You will always rise. And I looked and I would look at her. She goes, and men are the frosting. Sometimes you like chocolate, sometimes you like vanilla, sometimes you like whipped cream, sometimes you like buttercream. But men are always the frosting. And I said, Nana, and she goes, and sometimes, my love, the cake tastes so much better without the frosting.
So Grandma, she was feeding it to you. She was giving you life. She said, I'm going to fill you full of all the things that you need. But think about that. Though that one like interaction on a repeated basis shapes who you are. And it allows you to understand that when you mentioned earlier about being a single mom, I was raised by a single mother. I know how hard that is. But sometimes it's not, people always think, oh, because you don't have a spouse. No, it's because I'm still trying to grow as a person. And I don't have anybody that I can hand off to for a little bit so I can grow as a person too. Like my child is learning how to grow with me, you know?
Exactly.
So you learn to grow with your grandmother. And I'm sure that you matured and understood things just a little bit different living in a household like that. Because, you know, for me, money, I don't ever talk about generational wealth and finances. Yes, finances are wonderful, but it's really who you can, like, how you feed into that person, that spiritual side, your soulful side, your intellectual side, you know, how you allow a person to be physically here in the body that God gave us, and let them know that that body is a great body. It is carrying you. It may not look the way you always want it to look. It may not feel the way you always want it to feel, but it's carrying you when a lot of people don't have what you have. So, Grandma, we hear you, Grandma. You still here? Because she is always,
yes, she's always here.
You know? Oh my God.
It was such a beautiful story, and I wish I had it in its true form.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I would have sat her down with a VHS and been like this, and getting her on there. It just wasn't part of my time. But now we have these technology advances that we can stay close.
Yes.
We can be that person that says, okay, I don't want just the picture. I don't want just the book. I want to hear the voice. I want to hear them speaking to me. I want the stories. I want to pass this on, and I want to learn. I want to learn from you still. That's the potent, that's the pudding right there.
That's the pudding in the cake. See? That's the pudding in the cake, because you make it a little bit more moist and delicious.
I love you, Lovely.
Oh, I love it. You know what? I said to my husband earlier today, whenever I start recording podcasts, like, I am a very spiritual person, not ultra religious, but super spiritual. And I said to him today, he was like, have a good recording. And I was like, I just feel like my spirit is already there. Like I knew this was going to be a great conversation, not just because of the topic, but sometimes my spirit, it really surrounds me very quickly when I know I'm going to have a great time talking to somebody. And it puts me in a very calm place so I can hear your story, because I want to hear your story. I don't just want to listen. I want to comprehend your story. I want to have a comprehensive understanding of what we're doing together. Because this is a connection, right?
It's the irony is off the charts, because when I gravitated towards you, I reached out to you, and I gravitated towards you, and I said, I don't know why I am so compelled to keep trying to reach out to this woman, but I'm going to continue. And I think I reached out 2 or 3 times before you got back to me, because I know you're very busy, and I don't usually do that. I don't usually keep reaching out, but I felt drawn and I felt compelled, and I thought, my word, her name is Lovely Brown. Holy cow, I'm all about love. I just feel this incredible connection. And what's not to love about somebody who goes by that name? I mean, I just have to meet this person, and I gravitated. And I thank you immensely for having me on your show. It's been amazing.
I just thank you so much. And you really, you explain, that's why that is my name. Like love, my company is Lovely Esteem. You build the love, you create the esteem, you put it together. We got a whole person, because the world's
Yeah.
the world's gonna tell you no. It's gonna tell you you're not good enough. It's gonna tell you that you can't. It's gonna tell you that it's gonna be hard, right? And that's great. Like adversity does build a person, but when you put love in front of it, no matter how hard that thing is, when you put love in front of it, it makes it worth it. And I love what I do. I love getting to talk to people who are so passionate about being alive, right? But also passionate about other people being alive, because we need each other. We need it. You and I had to talk because my grandmother's saying used to be, you have to do some strange things for some change. And I used to be like, I don't understand what you're saying. And the older I was like, oh, but my grandmother was born in 1919. You think about it, women just were able to sign their own bank accounts in 1970 something. She never signed her own bank account. She never had a house in her name. Like all of these things our grandparents went through, that if we had those stories that we could really, when people were talking about taking away women's rights, we're like, if your grandmother could really speak to the world, what would she say?
My grandmother was born in 1903. And I remember she told me, she said, I am paving these floors so you don't have to pave. And I remember she's like, my expectation for you is you will be that woman to graduate from college. You will be that person. And I said, but Nana, she says, there's no buts. She says, I did not have the opportunity. That is not my role in the generation that I was born into. But you are 4 or 5 generations out. You have the opportunity. I do not want to hear excuses. I want to see results. And I was like, okay. Oh, I'm like, okay, Nana. Okay, Nana, I got this then. Because she's like, I picked fruit, I picked cotton, I worked at the cannery, I worked, shaving fish per piece. That's how I made my money. You don't have to do that. If you choose to do that, shame on you, because that is not what you're supposed to be doing. You are supposed to improve our family with each generation. I was like,
yeah, for real. She pulled you up. She said, let me explain to you, young. Okay, I got you. I got you. I'm gonna make cupcakes, Grandma. I'm gonna make cupcakes. I promise you, I'm gonna make cupcakes. But I want to extend myself. If ever you need anything, I definitely want to talk about your app on my pages. I really want to get this message out, because I feel like you are going to change so many lives. It is above you. It is above you, around you. It is flowing through you. And you deserve all the success, but you deserve all of the emotion attached to it. So I hope you take time to enjoy what's happening, because you're going to create so much joy for other people. And I don't ever want you to sit back and be like, because we're going to do it. Like, we're human.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But understand that you are fulfilling your grandmother's legacy. You're fulfilling this. You're doing it. Like Grandma, she did it. She did it. She really is. I promise you. She's not playing around. She's out here creating things. She created multiple cakes, multi-layered cakes is what you're doing. I love it.
Yeah, I agree right with you. And as long as I surround myself with good juju and good women, because when you've got good women supporting you, and you have I call it my tribe sisters. Yeah, I don't care how many no's you get. One tribe sister says, oh, that was crazy, go ahead and move on.
Yeah,
you believe the tribe sister.
You every time. I'm like, should I do this? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. Okay. Bail me out of jail. I told you.
Oh, it's so funny you said that. Okay, so I have to tell you this. I have two tribe sisters that this is how we answer the phone. Hello, Clarice from Silence of the Lambs.
That's one of my favorite movies. It is one.
Yeah, mine too.
And
And
three favorite movies. That's one of them.
and then my other friend calls me and she's like, if I call her, she's like, I still have enough saran wrap. Where are we hiding the body? I'm like, who answers a call like that?
Like me. It's me. You know it's me. Because think about it. That's her. If I ever answer the phone any kind of way, you know something's up. You know, that's saying with that, it was the question, if you ever received a text message from me and it said this, how would you know I was in trouble? And my best friend, she was like, oh, for you, if you ever told me you love wearing sneakers, I would know that life is ending. Like, you're a heels girl. I was like,
she knows you well. She knows you well.
You know, so, but no, honestly, I am so proud of you. I thank you so much for reaching out to me and continue to reach out to me. I really do. I feel like we were meant to talk today. We were meant to connect and vibe, and whatever I can do to help you keep this momentum going, I am here for you. Arms open wide. I cannot.
Thank you. Right back at you. Thank you. Right back at you. Thank you. If I could be of any service to you or any help, I do not care if it's day or night. You just give me a call, give me a text, and I will make things happen. We will make sure I want to get this into the hands of as many women as possible, men and women, but definitely women as possible. And if there's events or they need something like this, there you go. There you go.
Let's reach out to you because I'm a part of a women's group through my corporate life, and we are always looking for powerful women who are providing a service that it elevates us as women and it connects us as women. And I feel like your story and what you're doing earlier you said that, like you were talking about women really holding the key, right? We're the storytellers. We hide all of these little pieces away. We take the stick man from the child. We take the conversation from the husband. We take the information from the grandmother and we put it all together, and we're supposed to tell these stories. But what happens when we're not here to tell those stories? And you are providing a platform for us to tell those stories and keep the momentum going. And I'm forever grateful for this conversation. Honestly, it was so good. It was so good.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lovely. It's been nothing but a pleasure. Thank you.
Now let's revisit all the platforms that you're on. I want to make sure everybody can reach out to you.
I'm on Instagram, which is Elys_legacy. To subscribe, you just go to www.elys.cloud. For 1 month of the free hot button, just go ahead and get on our Instagram account, give us a follow, and it has it right there on the bio. Our code, it's I think it says hot button 1 month free. And it's all, so you can get a hot button, you can get it for 1 month free and just kind of test it out and see if you like it. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and our personal website. So you can just Google Elys, and we're pretty much there too. We come up pretty quickly.
Danitza, you blessed me today. Honestly, we're sisters now. Like now we're tribe
sisters.
We're tribe. Look, I haven't been a part of a tribe for a long time, so I'm going to join in. I'm always a part of the circle, never a part of the tribe. I'm going to take the tribe. I'm going to take it. But I wish you the best of luck in everything. But I really feel like you and I are going to connect so much in the future because I want to see you fly so much higher than you are.
Thank you. Nothing but love. Thank you.
You have a great
love. You too, love. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. So guys, today we talked about grief, loss, love, technology. We talked about connection, heritage. We talked about generational wealth. And we talked about creating safe spaces and finding platforms that allow us to push a different narrative when we're talking about grief. Remember, being able to articulate your feelings, wants, needs, and desires is the best way to advocate for yourself and the people that you love. Being able to leave beautiful messages for the people that you love and that you leave behind is otherworldly, right? So please, I implore you to please go to www.elys.cloud and check them out. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Healing Through Conversations podcast. We could not do this without you. So if you could give us a like, a subscribe, a follow, if you could send some feedback our way, we would so appreciate it. We believe that being able to articulate your feelings, wants, needs, and desires is the best way to advocate for you and those that you love. We believe that conversation heals us and it brings us together. So I hope to talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you found some healing, connection, and joy. Until next time, bye, loves.